Hi, everyone. It's our Boys State Tournament edition here of Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Taylor Kennedy, and thank you all for joining us. We are pleased to be joined this week by veteran coach and the boys head basketball coach of the Spring Valley Timberwolves, head coach Rick Chaffin. Coach, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Appreciate it, and can't wait to get started in the state tournament.
Yeah, we were talking before the program about all these different things that you've been able to accomplish during your long, historic career as a head coach, but just what makes this time so special for you? I mean, you mentioned how you've taken 5 different high schools to the state tournament. This is your 9th state tournament appearance as a coach. What makes this time so special for you?
Well, I think it's special to me because I love practices, and I get a chance to see kids develop and the work that we put in, and you see the reward at the end. So getting to the state championship, the tournament is, that's what makes it special, is all the hard work pays off.
When you talk about this team, you talk about that hard work. Obviously, a lot of hard work has gotten you all to this point, obviously. What's made this team good enough down the stretch to get to the state tournament?
Well, I think it's veteran players. I think we have 4 seniors that start, 1 junior. I took these kids 4 years ago. I took over the program, and I started 3 or 4 freshmen every game. I told them we'd take our lumps, but if they would hang in there, that by the time they were juniors and seniors, it would all pay off. And I think that, that senior leadership and being in the state tournament last year has paid off.
This is your 4th season at Spring Valley. You've taken the Timberwolves now to the state tournament, the 2nd consecutive year, 3rd time in program history. What are you starting to see with the foundation that you placed 4 years ago? How are you starting to see that come into fruition?
Well, when I started, they didn't have a freshman team. So we started a freshman team, and we put a lot of emphasis on the JV program to develop players. And I think through the history, just looking back at my career, I think the big thing is that, I've been able to work with a lot of kids and develop players. And I think that's the key to success in the long run, is you have to develop players.
When you talk about the development of players, we'll talk about a couple of your bigger players here in a couple of minutes, but just the development side of things, going throughout the course of a season. Some of you guys play football. How do you go about developing players throughout the course of a season?
Well, first of all, you put them in a position where they're going to be successful. So what I do, I evaluate our talent, and I don't try to make our kids fit into an offense. I develop an offense around our kids. This year, we're fortunate enough to start 5 guards, even though I have a 6'5" kid that's averaging 12 rebounds a game in Colton Caldwell. He's actually a guard, and when we played GW the last time, I moved him out to guard, and everybody got to see that, what kind of player he is. But I think that with our kids, our seniors, being able to move around in different positions, and if we have if our point guard, if he's in foul trouble, I can just move another kid in there. So the kids being in the program 4 years and getting used to me, and the way we handle our practices, I think that's what makes us successful and puts us here in the state tournament.
As a guy that's been to the state tournament numerous times, how important is it to get a year in the state tournament under your belts to try and prepare for another push, as you guys are doing this season?
Well, last year, it was a huge accomplishment for the school and for the community and for the players. We didn't play well. We didn't shoot the basketball well up there, and when you don't do that, you're going to go home quickly. But I think that this year, the kids having the experience of being there last year, and the work that we put in, and the preparation that we did for the regional championship, I think that puts us in a pretty good position now.
As a coach, what makes the West Virginia State High School basketball tournament on the boys' side so special compared to other tournaments around the area?
Well, I think it goes back to community. You have every community in the state is involved. And when you go to Charleston and you look at some of the schools there, it looks like the whole community has turned out. And to me, that's what makes it special, is the people. And, the cheerleaders are involved. Actually, your whole school's involved. And, a lot of times, not just your parents there, but grandparents are there, friends. And it makes it, just so special to have that, that night, and hopefully 2 or 3 nights.
You mentioned the community side of things. Obviously, in last week's Class Quad A girls' state final between Morgantown and Spring Valley, the Spring Valley community really vibrant throughout the course of that game, and it seems like they've been very vibrant and excited with this group. How great has it been to see the community rally behind this boys' team this year?
Well, just like the girls, I thought that was very special. The girls had a special team. They have a good following. But the community, they've rallied around us. Really the last 2-3 years, we've had great community support. And I think, you'll see that again up there in the state tournament, even though it's a late night game at 9 o'clock. A lot of people from our Spring Valley community will be there. They'll turn out.
Yeah, you talk about that first round game at 9 o'clock. You guys play Woodrow Wilson, a former MSAC foe. But just from the Woodrow Wilson perspective, what do you see from the Flying Eagles this season?
Well, they played really well. We're the #1 scoring team in the state. They're the second leading scoring team in the state. But they have a great player in Walton inside, and he does a tremendous job. I think everything revolves around him first, and then the Hawthorne kid and Dylan, can really shoot the basketball, shoot the three. So we're going to have to get out and cover those guys. And the other two starters they have are really good players, complementary players, but everything starts around Walton. I think that if we can do a decent job on him, I think we'll be able to stay in the game.
Compare this team to a team that you guys have played this season. Who do you see similarities to from a team that you guys have already played?
Well, they're a little bit like GW. GW a lot revolves around Lewis, and just like a lot of that revolves around Walton with Beckley. GW has a couple good shooters and really good shooters, and Woodrow does too. So I think if you could compare them to someone, it would be George Washington.
When you talk about you as a coach, I think you mentioned over 3 decades of coaching experience at the high school level, but what's different about you this season? I mean, have you kind of felt yourself getting different as a coach as time has went on?
Actually not. I'm kind of the old school guy, so, started coaching in the 70s. But the only difference between me this year and last year, I think I'm a little bit more relaxed. Last year I think it was a little bit of pressure to get to the state tournament, and we really had worked our kids, and it was we had a really good year, but it was a tough year. Every game in the MSAC is a grind. But this year, I think I've relaxed a little bit more because our kids are, a little bit better, and they understand things. I don't have to be getting on them about anything. They already, they know what we're wanting to do, and we have good leadership with our seniors. So I think being relaxed is the bigger difference this year.
Would they agree that you are more relaxed?
I don't know if they would, but I am more relaxed.
You mentioned the senior group that you have, and we'll talk about a couple of them individually in just one second. But this senior group, this is your first senior group that you've had for all 4 years. Talk about this group and the importance that this group has had on this program.
Well, the importance is that I think the year before I took over, they had won 2 games at Spring Valley and 3 or 4 the year before, and I think that we brought winning back, but I think we brought stability back with having the 9th grade and the JV being really competitive. But having seniors and senior leadership and see the rewards of being in the program, and I've worked with our younger coaches and always talked to them about how to build a program. So I think all those things have helped Spring Valley basketball, no question.
Let's talk about a couple of those players, and let's start with Clay Robertson. He was injured a couple of games throughout the season, but now he's back for you guys. How big is it to get Robertson back leading into the state tournament?
Well, it's huge. With him, the first 11 games we were undefeated, and then he gets hurt and we lose the Huntington High game. And after we had already beaten them by 26 or 27 points, getting him back, we have a shooter that extends the defenses. We have Harrison Riggs, a junior, who's averaging 23 points a game. And so now you have two people in the lineup that can actually shoot the basketball really, really well. So, but having Clay, he's a leader. His defense is so much better. He takes the ball to the basket so much better. We've had a lot of college coaches inquire about him. And if they didn't have the portal, he'd probably already have a scholarship in line, but a lot of these schools have backed off waiting on the portal to clear. But Clay has been huge this year, missed 5 games. He was not supposed to come back. He had a really bad injury, but he rehabbed, got back in there, is playing really well, haven't missed a beat.
When you talk about Harrison now, biggest difference that you've seen from him from last season to now?
Well, the biggest difference is he's grown. Last year he was about 5'9" or 5'10", and now he's about 6'3", 6'4". Last year he was more of a complimentary player, and we didn't rely on him a whole lot because we had Tate Atkins and Clay and the other kids. But Harrison this year now, with his size, ability to finish at the basket, he is playing so well, shooting 70% from the field. I've never had a kid that shoot that way, but most of his shots, granted, are, he's going to the basket. And when they extend out on our other kids, our other shooters, he can put the ball on the floor and take it in there and score.
Who's a guy in your opinion, I know you mentioned Caldwell a couple minutes ago, but who's a guy in your opinion that's made the biggest leap from the beginning of the season to where we are now?
Well, the biggest surprise was Harrison. The biggest improvement in a player is Jalen Abercrombie, and unfortunately it doesn't look like he'll play in the state tournament, but he's really improved. But he started for me as a freshman, didn't play as a sophomore, junior, concentrated on football. Football season was over this year. He signed with Marshall. So it took him a little while to get into the groove of playing. Kean Grayson, our point guard, has really established himself as a leader. Used to, we looked for him to score. Now, I think he averages about 9 points a game, but he's settled into the role of getting us into an offense, getting the ball in the hands of people who do score. So I think that Kean's, as far as maturity and taking over a leadership spot, has really changed.
And then finally, we talk so often, I have with other coaches, and you probably have as well, just talking about the differences in high school athletics from the first year that they started to where they are now. Biggest difference in high school athletics in West Virginia now compared to what it was when you first started?
Well, I don't think anything's changed as far as the competition, but I think as far as I'm concerned, coaching-wise, you have a lot more skilled kids. Used to, kids played 3 sports, 4 sports. And even I coached 3 sports in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000. So, but kids now specialize, everybody that tries out can dribble. Everybody can shoot the basketball, maybe not as well as each other. But fundamentally, I think kids are, looking at both areas are the same. But as far as skill-wise, I think kids today are much more skilled.
Well, Coach, good luck this week against Woodrow Wilson in the first round of the Class Quad A state tournament, and hopefully you guys can move on to the state semifinals.
Appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you up there.
Absolutely. That's head coach Rick Chaffin of the Spring Valley Timberwolves of the boys basketball team. Be sure to check out our coverage from now until the end of the week by going to our website, wvgazettemail.com. Follow us on Twitter at GazMail Sports. That's G-A-Z Mail Sports. And be sure to follow us on Facebook at HD Media Sports.